There's something the narcissist in your life will never tell you, something they can barely admit to themselves. While you've been processing the grief of what happened, rebuilding yourself from the wreckage of that relationship, wondering what was real and what wasn't, they've been unraveling, quietly, behind whatever new mask they've put on. Because losing a super empath doesn't just hurt a narcissist, it breaks something in them that never fully heals. And I know that might be hard to believe right now, because from the outside they look fine. They always look fine. There's already someone new. There's already a new story where you're the villain. There's already a performance of moving on. But performance is the key word. What's happening underneath that surface is something most people, including the narcissist themselves, don't have the psychological language to describe. Today you're going to understand it completely, and when you do, something inside you is going to shift. Not every empath affects a narcissist the same way. There are people who give narcissists attention, validation, even love. And when those people leave, the narcissist grieves the loss of supply the way someone might grieve losing a comfortable job. Inconvenient, temporarily painful, replaceable. But a super empath is a different category entirely. Psychologist and trauma expert Dr. Gabor Mate has written extensively about the way certain people carry an extraordinary capacity for attunement, the ability to sense what others feel before those feelings are even expressed. Super empaths don't just love deeply, they see deeply. And for a narcissist, being truly seen is simultaneously the thing they crave most and the thing they fear beyond all else. You saw through their patterns before you even had words for them. You felt the shifts in their energy. You noticed the contradictions between what they said and what they did. You gave them something extraordinarily rare, a witness. Someone who reflected back not just their charm, not just their performance, but the real person underneath it. Even if the narcissist never acknowledged this, some part of them knew it. And that knowing is exactly what made losing you catastrophic. What you gave them wasn't just attention or affection. It was something far more psychologically potent. Narcissistic personality structure at its core is built around a fragmented self. The outer persona, confident, magnetic, in control, is a construct. Beneath it lives what researchers call the deflated self, a core of profound shame and emptiness that the narcissist has spent a lifetime running from. Most people who enter a narcissist's life only ever interact with the construct. They feed it, they admire it, and in doing so, they actually reinforce the narcissist's need to keep the mask on permanently. But super empaths do something different. Without even trying, you made contact with the real person beneath the mask. Maybe there were moments, late nights, quiet conversations, vulnerable seconds, where they actually dropped the performance with you, where something genuine slipped through. Those moments terrified them, but they also created an attachment unlike anything else. You weren't just supply. You were the only person in their life who made the exhausting performance feel, briefly, unnecessary. That is irreplaceable. That is what they lost. The moment you truly left, not the dramatic exit, but the moment you stopped caring, something broke inside them, not immediately. Narcissists have a remarkable ability to paper over their internal reality with new stimulation. But eventually, in the quiet moments, and there are always quiet moments, something surfaces that they cannot name and cannot fix. Psychologists who specialize in narcissistic injury describe a phenomenon called narcissistic collapse, a state where the defenses that normally protect the fragile inner self begin to fail. It doesn't always look like falling apart. Sometimes it looks like escalating rage. Sometimes it looks like a bizarre smear campaign against you that seems wildly disproportionate. Sometimes it looks like them reaching out months later with no explanation. These are not signs of someone who has moved on. These are symptoms of someone in free fall. They will try to replace you. They always do. A new person appears almost immediately, sometimes before you've even fully processed the breakup. And from the outside, it can look like proof that you never mattered. It is not. What you're watching is a desperate substitution attempt. The new person is being cast in a role, handed a script, and expected to provide what you provided. But here's what the narcissist discovers, slowly and painfully. The new person doesn't see them the way you did. The new person believes the performance. And as much as the narcissist claims that's what they want, someone who simply admires the mask, the truth that Dr. Ramani Durvasula and other narcissism researchers consistently surface is Taiso. This is not enough. The mask is lonely, and now they are wearing it all the time, forever, because the one person who could sometimes look past it is gone. Here's what no one talks about. Narcissists don't just lose people, they lose versions of themselves. Every significant relationship in a narcissist's life becomes intertwined with a particular identity they performed within it. When you were in their life, there was a version of them, however distorted or self-serving, that existed in relationship to you. Your reactions shaped them. Your empathy, even when exploited, reflected something back to them. When you disappear permanently, that version of themselves disappears too. And because narcissists have no stable inner self to return to, this creates a void that is genuinely destabilizing. According to object relations theory and psychology, this isn't simply missing someone. It's losing a piece of the architecture of the self. They cannot get that back. Not with the next person. Not with anyone. So what does all of this mean for you right now in this moment? It means your departure was not a loss. It was a reclamation. Every day you stay away from that relationship, you are withdrawing the one resource they could never manufacture or manipulate their way into permanently keeping: your authentic presence, your ability to see, to feel, to reflect truth. Those capacities belong to you. They always did. And the fact that someone tried to drain them, tried to make you feel like those gifts were a weakness or a problem, does not diminish them. It confirms just how powerful they are. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself. You are allowed to stop wondering if you could have done something differently. You are allowed to recognize that the relationship ending was not a failure of your love. It was a consequence of their inability to receive it without destroying it. That distinction matters. It is the difference between carrying guilt that was never yours and setting it down for good. The grief you feel is real. The love you gave was real. But here's the truth that I want to leave with you. A person who is truly whole does not need to diminish another person to feel powerful. What happened to you was not a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their wound. And no matter what the narcissist does next, no matter who they're with or what story they tell, there is something living in them now, a permanent reminder of what they lost and what they can never recover. Not because you want them to suffer, but because the absence of truth always leaves a mark. You were never the problem. You were the mirror they couldn't stand to look into. And now that the mirror is gone, all they have left is the performance. Forever. That is not a life anyone would choose if they truly understood it. And you get to walk away from it. You get to heal. You get to become fully and without apology exactly who you always were. That is not a small thing. That is everything.